Hi, my name is Deepa Driver. I'm an academic and a trade unionist in the UK. And on behalf of the European Lawyers for Democracy and World Human Rights, as well as the Haldane Society for Socialist Lawyers, which is a long-established body in the UK, I'm observing the extradition hearings of publisher Julian Assange. What has really worried me about the case is the way in which various precedents are being set. It is not normal for the extraditing state, in this case the US, to spy upon the privileged legal conversations of the defendant with their lawyers in a systematic and long-term way, and for the judiciary to be unmoved by that. It is not normal for the privileged legal documentation of the defendant to be handed over to the extraditing state. In this case, Ecuador handed over Julian's privileged legal documentation to the United States, which is seeking to extradite him. It is not normal for the prime prosecution witness, in this case, an Icelandic national and a convicted paedophile and fraudster, Sigurdur Ingi Thordarson, to admit that he was bribed in effect, by the extraditing state to fabricate evidence against the defendant, and that he recants this testimony, and even then for the case to continue. It is not normal for us to find out that the United States plotted to murder the defendant in the embassy, to poison him, or to extract him and have a shootout on the streets of the very posh area of Knightsbridge in London, and for the judges to be unmoved by that, and for 30 US government insiders to confirm that this is the case. And yet, for this case to proceed along a legal process as though a legal process is being carried out. This case of Julian Assange is not just about Julian and the publishing of classified information. It is about the fact that the United States is now saying that not only United States law, but in particular the 1917 Espionage Act, which is usually discredited in many circles, can be applied anywhere outside the US against non-US citizens, and in fact against non-US media. So the handling of information which is accurate, provided by whistleblowers to reveal US war crimes, can no longer be discussed. This sets a precedent not just for the US, but for other powerful states, that it is okay to work with their allies to torture a publisher in order to hide their crimes. And Britain is complicit in this torture at the moment, at the behest of the United States. So are Sweden and Ecuador. In addition, it is also setting a precedent that the United States can dictate how crimes are investigated in other parts of the world, and can misuse the extradition process, which doesn't have the normal safeguards when you have an extradition treaty. So, for example, the extradition treaty in the UK prevents against politically motivated prosecutions. And in this case, in Julian's case, it is being used in a very politically motivated way. And the safeguards within the treaty are being ignored to extradite him to the United States. What is happening to Julian can happen to anyone else. And this is what we must be worried about, because today, if you were to give any journalist or publisher the Guantanamo Bay leaks, which show the rape, the murder, the torture, the sodomy against individuals in Guantanamo Bay outside the standard legal framework where somebody's charged and then tried, or if you give them information of collateral murder, you can see the video yourself at collateralmurder.wikileaks.org, whether these publishers and journalists will then actually publish it, or whether they will be scared. And I can assure you that there are a number of whistleblower leaks that are likely to have not reached the public domain because publishers and journalists are afraid of what powerful states will do against them. What this does is it prevents us from really understanding how the world works. It prevents us from rectifying criminality. It prevents us from holding our governments to account. It undermines human rights. It undermines freedom. It undermines democracy. And it turns us all into slaves of those at the very top who are able to commit crimes with impunity. I urge you to stand against such crimes. If you care about your brother, your sister who is held, for example, in a mental health institution, and you don't know what's really going on behind closed doors. If you care about a parent or a grandparent who's in a care home, looked after by others because you can't, and you don't know how they are being treated there. If you care about the world in terms of the climate, and you want to know about crimes that corporations or governments are committing, which pollute the rivers or destroy our climate, or indeed, if you care about war crimes or human rights in other parts of the world, then you should also care about WikiLeaks and Julian Assange. Because what WikiLeaks did was to empower whistleblowers, to allow whistleblowers to protect their identity while also ensuring in a very scientific way and in a very collaborative way, which is now copied by organizations like the ICIJ and other consortia of journalists, to ensure the documentation was secure, reviewed by a number of experts, and then put into the public domain, so that we as individuals don't have to rely on biased media or short attention spans, or indeed conflicts of interests of those who control media empires, to really understand what happens in our world. And WikiLeaks was really important in that, and so was Julian Assange, especially in the information age. Whistleblowers have been talking to journalists for a very long time, but it is only through WikiLeaks that the large volumes of data could be kept in a safe and secure way in the public interest, so that the public could know what's going on. It is important that we stand by those whistleblowers. It is important that we stand by Julian Assange, and it is important that we stand up for ourselves in defense of democracy, human rights, press freedom, and freedom of speech. Thank you.